Welcome to the Best Sports Betting Podcast, where we'll talk about reviews, previews, tips and all things betting related. Brought to you by bestsportsbetting.co.za. Now, on to our hosts.
Hi guys, welcome to the Best Sports Betting Podcast, brought to you by our friends over at PlayerBets, playerbets.co.za. Episode 14. With me as always is Simon. Simon, quite a rollercoaster of sports over the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely, Rob. Thanks for having me back on the podcast. Sure. It was quite a nail-biter with the Lions in New Zealand. It was a great weekend of sport, but not so much for my bets. Let's put it out there first and foremost.
I think all of my bets, really. I think the only people that were happy after this weekend were the bookmakers.
Yeah, absolutely. Who's going to back a draw at 25-1 pre-match, and even in play, you wouldn't have really thought so.
No.
I think the Lions did surprise many of us with that result. I think a lot of us expect them to come back pretty strongly, Rob.
Well, the All Blacks just didn't click that game. They didn't have enough possession to really swing the ball around. I don't want to say the Lions played specifically well. They dominated in the areas one would expect them to dominate, but the All Blacks just never got going. I mean, going into half-time, they started to click. And I thought, okay, well, this is going to be a bit of a blowout. Because, they butchered, 2 tries or something.
That's right.
And I thought it was going to be one-way traffic in the second half. And it just wasn't to be. So, I also had a bit of a loser there. I had overs. I had New Zealand. New Zealand 1-12, believe it or not. And there was that contentious offside penalty. I don't know if you saw that.
I did,
Now, you tell me, if you're offside, it's a penalty. There's
exactly
accidental offside. Look, obviously I had a bet, so I'm biased, but, I understand there's interpretation of the rule. But if you're offside, you're offside, whether it's accidental or not. Most of the time, they're accidentally offside anyway.
Exactly. How many players are gonna put themselves, offside on purpose? So what does accidental offside even mean? It's a bit of a silly differentiation, if you ask me.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and that would have been they would have kicked over the 3. They would have definitely taken the 3, no doubt.
Yeah.
And my 1-12 would have come in, and New Zealand would have won the series. And If
you look at the way that the game actually started, the first 10 minutes New Zealand were all over them. They should have been 10-0 up. I don't know how that ball was dropped. And then obviously there was a penalty missed right in front, which should have gone over. So it should have been 10-0 up within the first few minutes. And then obviously full credit to the Lions. They did soak up the pressure, and both teams actually defended brilliantly, I thought. In the first half, both teams were defending very, very well. And then there were plenty of opportunities missed by both sides. And in the second half, the Lions did start to dominate the territory possession a bit. And obviously the fact that Farrell was incredible with the boots also helped the Lions a lot. But it was a good performance for the Lions, and obviously I was disappointed to lose the bets in New Zealand on the handicap there.
Yeah, and it was a bit of a disappointing end to what was otherwise a great tour.
Yes.
If the Lions had won, I would have, I don't want to say been happy, but it would have been a good result.
Absolutely.
A drawn series it's not the best for, I don't want to say anyone, because it's good for the Lions, but
it is.
I don't think Lions fans are too happy in that draw either. The draw in rugby is never a nice thing to have.
Yeah, I think that interview with Kieran Reid at the end said it all. He just couldn't believe it. I think he was also, it was, obviously expected to win the game, and I think, the handicap showed that. The bookmakers said that they should have won the game. And we all expected them to come back, but he was just he looked shell-shocked more out of, not the fact that they lost, but that after all this is kind of such a...
Just fizzle out, eh?
An anti-climax to the whole thing, yeah.
Yeah, you look at the first game, which was a cracker. The second game, even with the red card, was still a cracker, And the first game, it was one half of a good game, I'm going to say. The first half was good. Second half, not so much. So, a bit disappointing. But a great tour. And I enjoy. They were saying they want to come to South Africa next. I think that would be quite interesting. I don't think we'd stand much chance against them, to be honest.
No, sure. I think, at the end of the day, I think we all can kind of be quite happy that the Kiwis didn't walk away with another series win.
You say that, but there's nothing really wrong with this Kiwi side. They're a dominant force in world rugby.
Sure.
There's nothing you can really hate on them. Their players aren't doers. I can put it in some colloquial terms. But they're worthy champions, and
sure.
look, it's nice that their winning streak got snapped by Ireland a couple months ago and whatnot.
Yeah.
But you've got the rise of England in Northern Hemisphere rugby now. And give me the All Blacks over England any day. Just from a supporter's perspective, I just can't stand the English rugby team with all the arrogance and the press that comes around it. So
I just like to see them getting some competition, and I mean, as I said, when they get it from the Lions or not, they'll get it from England and they'll get it from Ireland. So look, I mean, it's just nice to see a competitive series, and I mean, look, after that first Lions Test match, the first Lions and New Zealand Test match, it's nice to actually have had something which turned into something quite competitive after New Zealand did walk all over the Lions in the first Test match.
Definitely, and then also a couple of upsets in the Super Rugby. A couple of big ones, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's start with the main one, the Bulls. What happened there? I mean, bit of a painful loss for me there again. 1-12 Bulls. They were playing against the Kings side that had just travelled back from Argentina and that had spent the weekend at Sun City.
Yeah, look, I mean, when you thought the Bulls might be picking themselves up again, then obviously they lose at Loftus, and they really have been a difficult team to pick. I mean, obviously on the whole they've been pretty poor, but they have had some good games. But that said, again, I think the Kings, in fairness, have been improving week after week, and
they have.
I think you always take a risk opposing these days against again. I'm not going to say against anybody, but against any of the sort of mid-table to low-table teams, because they do seem to be able to kind of beat them. They're playing against the Cheetahs this week, which should be an interesting matchup.
Yeah, and the books have them at 1.5 point favourites, or as a pickup.
Yes.
So I'm definitely going to be backing the Cheetahs there. You can say what you want about the Kings. I think there's going to be points galore in that game. It's both two teams playing open running rugby. But anyway, we'll get to that a bit later. Then you had the Stormers covering the spread. Well, it depends on what time you got on.
They left it late, yeah.
Yeah, they left it very late. I had 33.5 or 32.5, and I was sitting and I was like, okay, well, this is dead. And they scored a try right at the end just to win by 35 points. I was happy that they converted that. Yes. And then the Waratahs going down to the Jags. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that's a team that I've made a lot of money this season opposing the Jags. And look, I didn't bet that game. I know you were on the Waratahs there. I don't think anyone saw that coming. I really don't.
And I pressed on the Waratahs in play. I managed to get some, I think it was plus 10.5 when they were down 21-3 or whatever it was, and that came in. So that covered some of my initial stake, but still a losing proposition there for me. Disappointing performance. I wanted to take the Waratahs overs, but the line moved so much. It was basically a 5-6 point move from, I think, about, was it 44 or 54 to 58 or something like that, and I was like, I'm not going to get involved considering that big line move. I'm kind of kicking myself for that, but you don't want to get on the line too late. You'd rather get a good line and lose, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's a good weekend at rugby. Any other matches you want to touch on?
Not really. I think it's look ahead. I mean, we've got a full Super Rugby card again this week, which is obviously very exciting if you're a rugby punter. So yeah, should we get into those?
Yeah, let's get stuck in. Right, so as I was saying earlier, I like the Cheetahs to beat the Kings. They're playing open rugby. The Cheetahs are playing pretty well. The Kings have won 2 in a row now, yeah, sure. But they're going to be on the road again. And, one has to wonder when this is going to take its toll on them. And I think it's going to be this week. Look, the Cheetahs aren't a great team. They're not a terrible team either. But they've got more than enough to beat the Kings. And they played a good game against the Stormers 2 weeks ago. They could have won that game very, very easily. That was a pick-em game, if you ask me. And I think they're going to have too much for the Kings. So I think that's probably going to be my best bet for the week.
Okay. Look, that's a game which I'll keep away from. I don't want to oppose the Kings with a team like the Cheetahs. As you said, they're not playing bad rugby, but I find that the Kings keep on surprising me. It's one I'll keep away from. My best bet this week is the Lions to cover the line is 6 points on Bet365, and I expect it'll come out around there with it when the SA books post the lines. But
I expect it to come out right about 7, SA books.
Okay.
Because they're going to get money on the Lions.
For sure. So look, the Lions are, let's call them -7, and they're away against the Sharks. And I honestly don't think this point spread is big enough. I mean, we all know that the Lions are by far the most superior Super Rugby franchise. They've also won 8 of the last matches against the Sharks and 3 of the last away games against the Sharks. And we're talking, let's be honest, we're talking about a team which is second on the Super Rugby log against the Sharks.
Yeah.
And I just don't think 7 points is enough, and I really like them to cover that spread.
Okay, yeah, look, it looks like a good bet to me. I do fancy that. I want to look at what the price is on Lions 1 to 12. I think that could be a good runner. And I think they'll cover, so maybe we get a nice middle, they win by 10, 1 to 12 comes in, and your -7, -6 comes in. But
sure.
if the price is right, I'll get on that 1 to 12. I'm on the Lions train. I think they're a fantastic team, best team we've had in years. But Sharks are, they can be a bit unpredictable at home.
They can. They can.
And look, they're not the best team, let's be honest. But on their day, they can put in a performance. I don't think they'll beat the Sharks. I think they might be able to keep the score down somewhat, so it won't get blown out. So that's why I'm leading 1 to 12. But I still think your -7 is a solid bet. Nothing against that. Seems like it could definitely be a runner.
Right, and I think let's talk about. I mean, the highlights of the week has to be the Canes versus Crusaders. It's obviously
or the Bulls versus the Stormers.
Or the Bulls.
No, I'm joking.
Depends if you want to watch.
Rebels.
If you want to watch.
We got Rebels Jaguars. I mean, come on, there's plenty to choose from here.
I mean, last time out, if you guys remember, the Crusaders won that game at home. I think it was by about 6 or 7 points, if I remember correctly, or maybe a bit more. The Canes are at home are 1-point favorites against the Crusaders. I mean, I think this is priced perfectly. I mean, I couldn't really call a winner here. What are your thoughts, Rob?
Well, I think the Canes guys have been playing well. They played well for New Zealand. I'm not sure how many of those guys are going to be back in the Canes squad.
Yeah.
But they were basically the core against the Lions. So with that in mind, I'll be leaning towards the Canes. I really don't want to have a bet on this game though. I don't have much. Well, they haven't played recently, so
exactly.
It's difficult to form an opinion. But if I were to take a side, I'd probably take the Canes. But I don't think I'll be betting this game.
Yeah, look, last time we went into this game, the Crusaders were the slightly more formed team. In fact, quite a bit significantly more the formed team. And I remember I took the Crusaders and won that bet. And the reason I took the Crusaders that time was because I could see that the head-to-head had favored the Hurricanes, and I thought that was being built into the line a little bit, and the Crusaders' handicap wasn't quite big enough. But this time, with both teams, no form, so to speak, in Super Rugby, I think it's a very, very difficult one to pick, and that's definitely one I'll enjoy watching and not having a bet on.
Yeah, look, if you're a Lions fan, then you're hoping for the Canes to win. I think as South African fans, we should also be hoping for a Canes win, just to, let the Lions have a look in at that number one spot. Crusaders being number one at the moment.
Of course.
So we've got a couple of trashy games again this weekend. Force versus Waratahs. Stay away there. The spread is -2 on the Tars, but the Force are playing some good rugby. Not touching that. Highlanders versus Reds, you got a massive spread of 21.5. Look, I'm not touching that. That's too big. Once again, I haven't seen the Highlanders play. The Reds have played. They haven't looked that bad. But 21.5, I'm not comfortable taking.
Sure.
And Rebels Jags, is anyone going to watch that? Two teams. Well, one team that shouldn't be in Super Rugby. Sunwolves Blues. You're getting 31 points on the Sunwolves. So, they're playing at home. Again, that's a massive handicap.
That's your peril, though.
Yeah, I can't. Look, the Sunwolves have been trash. They've been smashed by everyone. Maybe Blues points overs there, depending what the line is, probably in the 30s. I think I'll look at taking that instead. Chiefs versus Brumbies should be quite a good one.
Yeah, no, it could well be. I think that's definitely out of the bunch you mentioned, the only one really worth watching, besides the Canes, Crusaders and and the Stormers Bulls game, perhaps. But that could be quite an interesting one. The handicap is 16 or 20.
Yeah, 15.5 on the Chiefs.
16.
Yeah, so it's same thing. So it's again a little too high for my liking. I would have liked to have had 14 or something, but that's just being optimistic. Look, it's going to be a close game. The Brumbies are playing pretty crap. They've got no teeth at the moment. They just can't seem to get over the try line. They dominate possession. They'll dominate everything. They just won't get anywhere. So the Chiefs will punish them for that. But they've got a strong defense. I'm probably going to stay away there.
Yeah.
Then we have the Bulls against the Stormers as a game, the last game. So
that's right. Yeah.
That should be an interesting one. Stormers are 3.5 point favorites. They put in a good performance against the Sunwolves, but it's the Sunwolves. Yeah. The Bulls are, the lesser the better, but they are playing at home again. I'm sure they would have got a proper bum whipping from the coach and the owners after that loss. So, Stormers 1-12 would probably be my lean there. It worked out well against the Cheetahs. I think it will be in with a shot. You'll get some good value on that.
Look, I don't see this game being a runaway on either side, but I must say this historically for me, this fixture has always been one which it's really tricky to call, and I probably have lost about 80% of my bets when these two teams play. I find it's very tricky to call. I think it's one of those games I found that whenever if you follow the form team, you normally lose in this matchup.
Yeah, it's basically a derby. It's an old school South African, not really a derby, but it's a traditional rivalry. I mean,
and look, I think my head tells me that Stormers are the team here, and I mean, obviously the bookmakers are telling you slightly the same. I mean, obviously it's only a 3-point handicap, but still. But I don't know. Are the Bulls going to react? Are they not? Are Stormers even good enough to beat the Minotaurs? I mean, they are. I guess they are on paper. I don't know.
They lost the last match at Loftus.
They have.
Yeah,
exactly.
So,
exactly.
17-13. Look, that was a year ago, and it was two very different teams.
Yes.
So you can't really read too much into that, but it's one of those games that should be a close one.
I think that you're absolutely right there. If I was going to pick a side, I would pick Stormers, and I would most certainly pick a tight margin there. So I think that would definitely be the bet. The Stormers 1-10 or 1-12 would definitely be my bet there if I was forced to take one.
And look, I'm going a few years back here, but I mean every time the Stormers have won at Loftus, they've won between 1 and 12 points. So look, this is stats going back 5-6 years, which is not conducive to forming a really good opinion. But it just generally does show that if they're going to win away, they're going to win a close game. If you look at some of the other matches in general, the Cheetahs 1-12 covered. They lost to the Sharks, bit of an upset there. The other victories against strong teams away have been close. Like the Jaguars 1-12. Cheetahs 1-12 again twice. Force 1-12. Tars just over the 1-14. They beat the Lions away a couple of years ago, 1-12 again. So it's 1-12 is definitely a good bet there in my opinion. But it's a tough game to call. All right, so that's basically the rugby wrapped up for the week. Then we've got. I know you wanted to speak about some tennis. Let's have a look there.
So the quarterfinalists in both the men's and ladies will be decided later today. All the matches happening today. Obviously, in the second half of the tournament, you have each round completing on one day, which is quite nice. Both my outright picks of Djokovic and Kerber are still in it. Djokovic is playing very well. He's actually sort of showing the kind of form which makes you almost forget about the trouble he was having earlier this year, but let's not hold our breath. And Kerber will face her toughest test so far when she plays Muguruza today. She's going in as a 13-10 or 2.3 dog. So I'm going to be holding my breath for that one. She obviously being the underdog, but let's hope she gets through. I have a couple of bets today in the men's. And this is now obviously the round of 16, looking for a place in the quarterfinal. Marin Cilic is playing Batista Agu, and he's a 1.2 shot against Cilic, which I think is incredibly short. Batista Agu is obviously quite a few seeds below him. He's 19, and Marin Cilic is seed 6, but I mean he's no mug on the grass courts.
Yeah.
And I won't take the handicap here, though. I prefer the overs. I think
so you think it's going to go like 3-1 or?
Yeah, because these players are both decent servers. You often get tie breaks, and tie breaks are not good for handicaps because the difference in games is only 1. So
yeah, but it's great for going overs.
It's great for going overs, but not necessarily covering handicaps. So that's why I prefer here. It depends where you shop around, but you can get over 38 or over 38.5, depending where you look, and that'll be at around 1.8 or 1.9 the odds. So yeah, have a look around and see what price you can get. I know player bets are over 38.5, and that's at odds of 1.8, but do have a look around. And then in the ladies, round of 16, I like Victoria Azarenka, and that's plus 2.5 games, and she's playing Simona Halep. Azarenka,
that's a close match, that one.
Look, Azarenka's just made her comeback after taking time off. She's had a baby and so on, and she honestly looks hot. She seems to be finding her old form.
She looks hot, or her form is looking hot. If you want to talk about hot players, we'll talk about Annie Ivanovic.
Well, I mean, look. Considering she's just had a baby, both, I think. Yeah. But look, just to go into this again, I don't trust Halep on the grass courts. She's primarily a clay courter, and I think she's definitely worth opposing. I think the market will still catch up to Azarenka. They're not quite sure. The bookmakers don't want to lay her too short because she's just come back. I mean, her seed is 689th in the world.
Oh yeah, but that's
obviously because she's been out. So I mean, let's not forget she's beaten Serena Williams more than any other player, and she was also the world number 1. So I think I must say it's one of those things as well. I always make money opposing Halep, and as I said, she's a grass courter. Sorry, she's primarily a clay courter, and Azarenka's stronger on grass. So I like the 2.5 games there at odds of 1.83. I think she'll win the game outright, but I'm going to take that 2.5 games insurance.
Yeah, and you're getting great value there on a great player. That's
Absolutely.
Like you said, it's come off a break. Look, they'll be a bit rusty, but its form is temporary, class is permanent, and she's quite a class player in my opinion. So that sounds like a good one. I didn't realize she's dropped so much down the rankings though. That's news to me.
She's taken a long time off, so obviously your rankings will drop very fast. And obviously, Simona Halep is the number 2 seed. So, as I said, she's a great player, but, Azarenka, making a comeback, and she's only had 3 games, at Wimbledon and a couple more in Birmingham and in the build up to Wimbledon, but, it's, I just think she's a better player, and although she will need some time to warm up, I think she can definitely beat Halep and must certainly cover the handicap here.
Do you know Azarenka's played against, so far in the round robins? But
I can tell you in a minute. I know that she actually came back to win her last game 2-1, but just give me 1 second and I'll tell you.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if there's any high-seeded players in there, although it's unlikely because she's probably playing in the lower tier.
Yeah, so she played Heather Watson, she's not a top seeded player, but she's certainly pretty good. And then she played Vesnina, who is a seeded player before that, and Bellis, who's not. So she's played two of the 3 players she's played in the build up to this match have been pretty damn good. And I mean, not that Halep would need any practice, so to speak, but she's played Peng and Hadamara, who are certainly lower seeded players than Azarenka has played. But yeah, let's see what happens.
Yeah, that's just a draw, eh? So
exactly.
So that should be quite a good one. I think I'll have a nibble on tennis. I haven't had one in a while, so let's hope that Azarenka comes through then.
Yeah, and keep your eyes on the BSB Twitter feed, because I'll be posting semi-final and final picks for the men's and women's as well later in the week.
Fantastic. All right, so is that your tennis wrapped?
That's it.
Okay, all right, let's have a look at some Confed Cup, or is that what the CONCACAF Cup rather? Yeah? CONCACAF. Confed, that's just finished. CONCACAF, which is the basically North and Central American, how can you say, like league, or like Champions League, or that sort of thing, Europa League. Right. Oh, I'm getting all confused this morning. Yeah, so look, it's a couple of tough games. It's round 2 rather that I'm looking at, Costa Rica versus Canada. Now, I don't know if you watched Costa Rica in the World Cup a couple years back. One of the few bright sparks of that World Cup.
Yes. It's a bit of a dark horse.
Yeah, definitely. And they're coming in against Canada at 17 to 20, 1.85.
Yeah,
I think it's a pretty good price. Considering that they're playing okay. Look, they aren't playing fantastically well, but they do have quality players in their team. They have struggled against other teams, but I'm not going to look too much into results from a few months back. I'm going to back them to beat the Canadians. The Canadians aren't a great footballing team. Look, the Canadians have beaten Costa Rica in the past, but we're talking years back, which once again means nothing in football.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be going with Costa Rica there. I think just simply because of the price. Both teams are sitting on 3 points in the table. Canada scored 2 goals, conceded 2 goals in their first match, whereas Costa Rica won theirs 1-0.
So they're tied at the top. They're tied at the top, both with 3 points above Honduras and French Guinea.
Yeah, and I think those two are going to be the two teams that go through. I wouldn't be surprised if someone does end in a draw, just because it's a tight game. But I'm thinking Costa Rica will.
Are you not worried about this, Rob? The sense that because both the other teams are on 0 points, there's almost not too much of a threat. They're both kind of going to go through. You're not worried about there's not too.
Yeah, look, the thing is they're going to want to top the group. Because if they don't top the group, they're going to come up against the USA or Mexico. Sure. Those traditionally stronger teams.
Right.
And they don't want that. So it just makes more sense for them to play for the win. If they lose this one, they can win the next one. It's not going to be a massive train smash, but rather go out and go for the win, because a draw is not really going to help either of them.
No.
If anything, it's going to give those other two teams a look in as well, if there's going to be a draw. So that would be my pick. I don't really have too many other fancies. We do have some qualifiers coming up this week. We've got African Cup of Nations qualifiers. Bafana's playing Botswana. I don't think there's any prizes out for that, but I won't be getting involved there. And we've got some Europa League qualifiers. So,
yes, that's right. And Champions League, in fact.
Yes, the Champions League qualifiers. I haven't seen prices for them, though.
I actually looked yesterday, and I didn't see prices for Champions League or Europa League qualifiers.
I've seen the Europa. Board Sports Betting have the Europa qualifiers.
Okay, all right.
And, there's a couple that do stand out to me, but, I'll post them up on our football tipping page. You've got Utrecht, the Dutch side, playing away against Valletta. And they're 9 to 20, so that could be a nice little anchor there for a bit of a double.
Sure.
So there's a couple of ones, and there's always value in these qualifying games, especially with the stronger teams. So you just got to do a little bit of research, get a slight edge over the bookmaker, and just go smash them.
Yeah, look, there's less steam on games like this, which you kind of sharpen the bookmakers' lines and odds. So yeah, you can always find some value on qualifiers.
Yeah, I mean you can slap that in with Mexico to beat Jamaica. I mean 1 to 4, that looks like an absolute banker.
Yeah.
So that's our football all wrapped up. There's not really too much other sport to get excited about. Major League starting next week. We've got some tennis on now. We've got some rugby.
And then I'll be writing a Premier League outright preview. That's the English Premier League for you guys. So expect that to be posted this week as well.
Yeah, that should be good. And obviously the big news of the week is Wayne Rooney going back to Everton.
Good.
Yeah, well, I think it's a good move. I don't recall how much they paid for him, or if it was a free transfer.
It was a big fee. I can't remember exactly, but it was definitely too much. It was around what was it? It was a big fee. I don't think it was worth it.
No, he's not.
Hang on. I'm thinking about Lukaku here.
He was 80 million or something ridiculous.
I'm thinking of Lukaku. I just don't know what Everton want with him. Everton are not a sort of second half team. I could understand a team like West Brom or something taking Rooney, but honestly, I think he's done for. I think it's a very silly move of them. I mean, cute for him that it's his boyhood club and whatnot, but I don't know what they're doing. I wouldn't. If I was Everton, I certainly wouldn't be taking Rooney on.
Well, apparently they got him on a free. That
all right.
Got a 10 million golden handshake. I don't see. Oh, here we go. As part of his deal, the striker will get 2 £4 million payments. So it looks like he's actually moving on a free.
Okay.
As far as I've understood. But because he's on a big contract at Man United of £30 million or something, and they obviously just want to get him off their books.
Exactly. Look, I think look, from a financial perspective, that's good for Everton. But I don't know. I don't know how much good they'll do their team giving him too much game time. To be honest.
Look, he's declined a lot in the last couple of years, and it's not that he's a bad player now. It's just that he's, just how can I say? He's not as solid as he used to be.
No, I mean, look, if he's not making the first team in Manchester United all the time, I don't necessarily think why he should be making the first team in Everton all the time. There's not a huge gap between these teams. If he was going to Watford or Hull or West Brom or something like that, then I could understand. But I don't know. I don't think he's gonna have a sterling career at Everton.
No, but look, he's gone back to where he came from, which is good. So hopefully something interesting happens there, or he can revive his career a bit, whatnot, because look, I don't want to say he's a legendary player. He's definitely one of the stalwarts of the last decade.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
And it is a bit sad to see the decline in his career, but anyway. All right, you know what it's time for, Simon?
I do, Rob.
I've got a big one this week.
It's time for Robert's Rant of the Week.
Alright, so my rant of the week is ClickerBet. Now, I don't know if I sent you these chats that I've been having with them.
No.
Okay. So, I go into the ClickerBet chat. I withdrew money last Sunday. Okay. According to the ClickerBet T's and C's in their own website, now I did a EFT transfer, which should take no more than 3 days. And we did speak about this in the past. I think it was last podcast.
Yeah.
But I asked them, has my withdrawal been processed? And the customer service person comes on and says, hi. That's it. So so my response is, again, hi. Has my withdrawal been processed? 2 minutes later, no reply. I say, hi. 2 minutes later, still no reply. So then I start quoting Adele lines every 1 minute. So, hello, it's me. Hello, can you hear me? There's such a difference between us. Hello from the other side. At least I can say I've tried. So I'm saying all of this to the customer support agent, and then eventually I just type Adele, not to your taste. Their response, I like Adele, thanks.
Oh dear.
So
that doesn't help you much, does it?
Yeah, so it doesn't. And then obviously they eventually got back to me. It was about a 20-minute conversation. I had to wait for an actual reply. And I've just received feedback. Your bets are being verified, and your withdrawal will be done once these are verified.
Your bets have been verified after being settled already. What are they verifying?
Exactly. These are Super Rugby bets. These aren't, women's under 16 volleyball played in Rio de Janeiro or whatever it is. This is Super Rugby bets. These aren't line movers. They weren't massive bets. There were several bets. And I asked, what's the withdrawal? I said, bets being verified. Those bets were 5 days ago. Why are you verifying them now? And then the response was, the bets were sent for verification due to the large amount of the withdrawal. Now, the withdrawal wasn't large. Look, it's a fair sum of money. We're talking a couple figures. I'm not going to say the amount, but it's a fair amount, but it's not massive. Let's just say it's less than 50,000 and more than 10,000. So they have to verify this so that I can get my money. So I said to them, listen, your own terms and conditions say that you're going to pay the money in 3 days.
Yep.
And the thing is, it wasn't my first bet there either. I deposited, got the offer. I actually lost like 6-7K, and I deposited again, and I won some money. And now they want to verify my bets. I mean, are you serious? Yeah. I mean, look, I did get feedback saying that the bets have been verified. Credit to the agent; they did follow up with me.
Yeah.
But it's now been a week, more than a week. It's been 8 days since I've withdrawn. And when's that money going to come into my accounts? It's a bit frustrating. But yeah, that's my rant of the week. Clicker bets and their bet verifying withdrawals.
Issues. Yeah, there seems to be a common problem among South African books, and I mean, I must say, I haven't had too much experience myself, but it's no good. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to pay your clients out.
Yeah. I mean, look,
and unless there's, I mean, verifying your bets after you play them does seem a bit odd, but, you know, if you've fulfilled all the terms and conditions and you've played by the rules, there's no reason why you shouldn't be paid right away.
Yeah, I mean, look, I understand if I'd taken them for, let's say, like 100 or 200K or something, and they want to verify everything before they pay that out. But, you know, they don't actually need to do that when I'm withdrawing, you know, like I said, between 10 and 50.
Yeah.
And there's a certain threshold where they can request documents and all of that stuff, and that's usually around 25. Mm-hmm. So that should give you a hint of how much I withdrew, but you know, it should just be paid out. You know, it's send me an email or something, you know, just saying, listen, you've got your withdrawal request, it's being verified. You know, yeah. I mean, I had that with World Sports Betting recently, where I've always withdrawn to my card, and for some reason, I think I always withdraw on the PC, because I know on Sporting Bet, for example, you can't actually withdraw on the phone, which is rather annoying.
Oh, I've managed to do that.
But are you withdrawing to your bank account, or?
I'm withdrawing to the card, which is linked to my bank account.
I can't do that for some reason on Sporting Bet.
Oh.
So okay. I can literally only withdraw on, and this is not just my phone, it's all the phones I've had. I have to withdraw on the PC. So, but anyway, going back to World Sports Betting, I usually withdraw to the card that I deposit with, and the other day I did a SID payment instead of a card. My card was somewhere, I didn't want to go look for it. So I did a SID payment, and yeah, so I requested withdrawal, and I didn't fill in my bank details. WSB have never had my bank details, but they sent me an email saying, sorry, your withdrawal hasn't been paid because we don't have your bank details. So I'm like, okay, cool, no problem. There's my bank details. And next day, boom, money's in. I mean,
yeah, sure.
You know, it just shows the difference. You know, I mean, Clickerbet really need to jack up their game.
No, sure.
I mean, look, they have been improving recently. They've pushed up their bonus from a 50% match to a 100% match. But come on, guys. I mean, if you're not paying punters, and I mean, I'm not going to bet with them again.
Exactly.
I'm not going to mention that they also limited me after all of that. So I can now win $1,000 there. But yeah. So that's a bit
not exactly ideal.
No, it's a bit disappointing because once you're limited at a BetTech-based bookie, they basically limit you across the board. So that means anywhere I go that's got BetTech back end now is going to be limited. Yeah. So yeah, bit sad. But anyway, let's talk about our best bet. Simon, your best bet for the week?
All right. Well, it's most certainly going to be the Lions against the Sharks. So there's a minus 5.5 around. You said, Rob, at Tab. I expect the line will come out around 7 at the other books. But I think get under 7 if you can. So Lions minus 6.5, let's call it, against the Sharks. And that's in Durban on Saturday.
So what would you do if the line comes out at 7.5? Would you stay away? Would you get involved? Do you still like that line?
I will try find a minus 6.5 at 1.8 because if obviously, you know, with a certain, obviously, on BetX, for instance, you can take any line you want. It just depends on what odds you like.
Yeah.
So if it does come out there, I generally don't take bets under 1.8 or 1.75 depending, but if I'll push it down. Just because games.
Okay, you wanted to go through that key number of
yeah. So I'll probably take 1.75 in this case if I have to. So in other words, Lions minus 6.5 at 1.75. But if you can get obviously 1.9 or 1.8 or whatever, take that. But that'll be my best bet of the weekend.
Great, and I'm going to be going, as I said, I'm going to the sorry, bit of a brain fart there. But I'm going to be going with the Cheetahs to beat the Southern Kings. Yeah, I think that's a good match. Oh, sorry, the Kings actually playing at home. I got that one wrong, but still like the Cheetahs to beat them. Get plus 1.5 on the Cheetahs. I'm not sure what the local lines are going to open up with. And then I also like the Stormers 1-12 against the Bulls. So I'm going to have two best bets this week. It's going to be Stormers 1-12 and Cheetahs to beat the Kings. All right, thanks for coming on, Simon. And just before we end the show, I want to tell some of our listeners, please do not email me about bookmaker problems that you're having. I don't mind getting emails, you know, telling me stories about issues you've had, but if you're going to ask me where my withdrawal is, I'm going to tell you I don't know. If you're going to ask me which branch I can go to cash my ticket, I don't know. I've been getting all these emails about people asking, I withdrew from you guys and I haven't received my money. I'm like, okay.
I'm not a bookmaker.
No, I'm not a bookmaker, so I don't know what you're talking about. I'm always tempted to say, like, I went down to Mavericks and had a great time. But, yeah, there's a couple of those emails that come in every day and they're always a chuckle to read. But guys, please, check what the site is before you send an email in.
Yeah, just go to the name of the bookmaker and find their contact.
Yeah, and the contact lists are there. And if you really want, you can pop us a message saying, guys, how do I get hold of Hollywood, or how do I get hold of X and Y? And I'll do that for you. But don't ask me to settle your bets. All right, have a great week, guys. Best of luck, and see you soon.
Cheers. Thanks, Rob. Bye.